We're on.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tribe Talks. My name is Sandy, and I have my business wife, Steph. Steph. It's backwards, these cameras. I get confused.
Very confusing.
So we wanted to jump on today and talk about the problem with labels. So it's been, there's been some stuff in the media that's happened this week, and it really brought this topic to the front of our minds. And I'm trying to switch hats at the moment. I'm in the middle of a NDIS little cyclone going on in my world, so I'm pretty fired up about that. But this topic is also really important to talk about, particularly at the moment. And I suppose what started our conversation around this was the tragedy about William in Victoria, who was found deceased earlier in the week and described as high-functioning autism. So in all the reports, it's like high-functioning autism. And I think this is a really important conversation to have. So, Steph, do you want to give a bit of insight? Because I know my daughter, Imogen, is not classed as high-functioning autism, but Steph's daughter is. And I thought it might be cool to have like the different perspectives, but also then to talk about why there's problems around this.
Yeah, so we got chatting earlier this week because since we got her diagnosis, right, we hear high functioning all the time, and I will explain autism to her and her level to people, and I say she's high functioning, and I always get, and well intentioned, but oh amazing, so she'll be able to go on and live an independent life, no problems then, right? And I hope so. Yes, I do hope that she'll have the skills to do all of that, and I'm confident she will with the right support. But I also think that there is a lot of misunderstanding behind the label of high functioning, because she actually is a level 2, right? She just masks better. She pretends better. She's the master of pretending. And we actually had to find someone who was able to come in to her school to observe her for, I think it was about 12 plus hours in total, to do IQ tests, to go through the whole process, to be able to actually say, oh, okay, this kid is actually needing a higher level of support when you look closely, for transitions, for comprehension, for all of that stuff. But on the outside, she's calm, she's cool, she's nodding, she's doing what she's told. So she's high functioning. But this is then creating a process of mental health. And that's my concern as she grows and becomes a prepubescent girl, or in a puberty, and even as an adult. How is she supposed to function in a society that doesn't understand her? And it breaks my heart that something could have happened to this child, or for whatever reason he did that to himself. And it's just it's my absolute worst nightmare.
Totally. And I think like that wasn't actually really reported in Australian media. So maybe people aren't aware. It's a mental health concern that is not being addressed. So we were discussing this yesterday. We believe that high functioning autism is actually like a code for good masking. So they mask it well. It doesn't mean that they cope better, really. It just means that they hide it better. So Amy chooses not to hide, and Charlie chooses to hide. Do you know what I mean? And she's just got really great pretending skills, which is a bit scary, because then you don't know about the mental health stuff that's going on behind the scenes. And being that she's only small, you're with her all the time. But as she gets older and gets into those teenage years, like, it's going to be so important for you to have really open lines of communication to try and understand what's going on in that beautiful little mind of hers.
I know. It makes me really upset, because she I remember once the first time I really noticed it was we took her to the hairdresser a couple of years ago. Oh, I have Lucy. We're live.
Hey. Hi.
You can't. Yeah, it's backwards. So we took her to the hairdresser a couple of years ago, and she was they pulled the hairdryer out, and they were blowing, and she had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. And it just made me, it was the first time I went like, that's strange. Like, and then I realized as we've got to know more about her, how much she pretends. And recently the psychologist that we saw said, don't assume that when she's quiet that she's happy. her safe space is to freeze and pretend. So it's quite a frightening position to be in. But also, like, if I know this now and we know this as a family now, we can look at ways that we can assist her as she grows. But I know that we're not the only family that's going through a situation like that or has a child who's complex in that way.
Totally.
So,
and I posted this morning when I posted like advertising this call, it's like there's so many labels. So we've got high functioning, low functioning. You've got, you know, even just the names of different conditions. Hey, everybody. And do they say, like, I have MS, but I'm quite healthy, so am I high functioning MS? Like, is that how it works?
Technically, yeah, you would be.
Like, and this is the thing. How ridiculous does that sound? No one has ever said to me, "Oh, you have high functioning multiple sclerosis."
I know.
It doesn't make sense.
And you know what? I bang on all the time about labels. I'm like, hand on heart, I've always said I love labels for the reason that they help people understand what she needs. Like, I have no problem with people knowing that she's on the spectrum. Like, I'm not, like, I'm cool with that. Like, on that level, I'm happy with it. But I think sometimes there are those things that come up for those you know, it helps to educate people, but it needs to be done in the right way. It's so complex, and like, we really need to rethink labels.
And this is why I wanted to call this the problem with labels, because it's a dilemma, right? So, and it's actually really relevant to what I'm going through right now with Emmy and the NDIS. So the thing with labels is the government like them because it allows them to put people into a box that they can tick, right? However, people don't fit in boxes because they're not box shaped, and they're all very different. But if you look at education and funding, right, we require these labels to get these supports for our children or young adults or whoever that we're caring for that has a disability. If we don't have the label, we don't get help. So you must have a label, but labels then come attached with perceptions. So even in an education, so this is part of my uni degree that I'm doing at the moment. It's so fascinating that all these things are just coming together. So I literally just did an assignment on independent or individual education plans. So creating individualized education plans for kids that have extra needs and they need special like strategies for their education. There's actually a whole faction, a whole like idea that IEPs aren't helpful because they give teachers a preconceived idea of what kids are capable of, and that they won't challenge them to like to expand more, right? So if you tell a teacher, oh well, this child has autism or this child has an intellectual delay, so they've got a label, so they've got the funding, and then they get an IEP, the teacher may have, and it's not saying that everyone does, but the teacher may have a deficit idea of what this child is capable of, so then not expect too much of them. And it's like, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. Yes. So how do we change? Like, how do we change? How do we, what's the solution to this dilemma? Because I'm just like.
Ideally, everyone should be assessed based individually on their own characteristics without a label, because the label will predetermine what the attitude that people go into meeting them with or working with them with.
Sure.
But the whole legislation around education and funding and everything would have to change in order for people not to need the label.
I don't think it's going to happen in this lifetime.
Yeah, and this is
but,
the thing.
Yeah,
it's big.
It's really mind blowing, and I just, I look at where so Charlie's in preschool still. She goes into, mainstream education next year, which is going to be very interesting, right? So, I'm ready. I'm ready for anything to be thrown my way, I think. I'm sure it won't be all smooth sailing, but I feel really blessed that we have this community that we can, I'm already to have all of this knowledge going in. But yeah, it's very confronting, and I don't know what that label means for her. It's almost like, fingers crossed, I hope that she gets a teacher that is like proactive and understanding, with, you know, a history of understanding kids who don't fit the box. That's all I could wish for, but chances are, you know, it won't be the case all through her education. So
Miss Hannah's just said, don't even get me started on education and funding.
I saw your post, Hannah. My goodness.
See, the thing is, I do believe in, so when I did my assessment task, I do believe in IEPs. Like, I think individualized education plans are really important, but I think they're important for all kids.
Everyone.
But there's not the capacity in the current system to implement an IEP for every child, because of the way that the system's set up, and because of our curriculum, because of the things that they want kids to learn. The schooling system is set up so that we can educate our next generation on the skills they need to get employment. That's literally how our education system is set up.
They can be productive members of society, right?
And pay tax and keep the country moving. Yeah, which makes sense. Like, it's a neoliberal view of how the world works. But I read a really awesome article that said that education should be viewed as an apprenticeship in humanity. And I was like, I love that. Like, what if we just taught people to be really awesome humans and embrace their natural skills and abilities and explore how they can use those skills and abilities to create a better world? And if that is writing books, excellent. Learn how to write awesome books. If that is being a carer for someone else, excellent. Learn the skills in caring. But everybody should learn skills in being an awesome human being.
Oh, I love it.
And embracing diversity. Yeah. Well, I don't think legally we could teach that curriculum, because even if you start your own school, you've got to follow the mandated curriculum.
Do we?
Yeah. Jade says, this is why I moved Lily to a special needs school. Yeah. Yeah, Emmy's IEP is very specific. But the thing is, they challenge her on a daily basis. Like, she is constantly being challenged in terms of, like, not only her behavior and stuff like that we have goals around, but also, you know, writing. And actually, I'm going to show everyone this thing that Emma did the other day. Hopefully you don't see my messy house in the background. So at school, one of their activities has been writing letters, and then they walk up to the post box and they post the letter. And we get these letters coming home with stickers all over them and stuff like that, in addition to a stamp. I think she thinks the stickers are just stamps as well. So the other morning, independently, Emmy drew a picture and she wanted to send a letter, and she wrote the N but didn't know how to spell nanny, so I helped with that. And then I said, is it N Poppy? And then she wrote Pop all by herself.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I know. So, but that's not considered for a 9-year-old success in the current education system.
But it's a total success.
Success. She's got other skills that are awesome that some other kids can't do. Cooper can't cook the way that Emmy can cook.
That's what I was thinking last night. You know, you posted that post, which was heartbreaking, and obviously so many people responded to it. And, you know, I know they have to look at deficits and stuff, and she falls into those percentiles, but, like, they don't see all of the things that she's doing, her cooking, like the way that she interacts with her family. Like, she's the most gorgeous kid and has so much to offer. And I feel like, yeah, in so many ways, if you weren't prepared to fight for her, they would be writing her off, and it's not good enough because there's kids like her everywhere. So
it's apparently not good value.
That's just so bad. It is
we're not going to turn this into an NDIS call as much as I would like to vent. We're not going to do that today. Donna says her experience is public schools offer a lot more support for additional needs students than private schools. I would never send my child to a private school after her horrific experience. And I've heard that too, Donna. But I've heard both sides. I've heard all. Actually, this last 12 months, I reckon I've heard it all. I've heard so many different experiences in terms of education and homeschooling. Like, so many people have opted for homeschooling because both systems have let them down. And those people deserve a medal because that is not in my DNA.
Nope, neither is it.
You're amazing. If you can homeschool, like, hats off to you. And I know lots of parents have had that experience.
You're an amazing teacher. You could do it if you have to.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know if I'd be, I don't know. Okay, that's the total transparency. I don't know if I'd be an amazing mum if I had to homeschool my kids all the time, because I need a break. Like, I need some space to be a better mum. And as I was saying today, I just had a meeting with Amy's school to help me out with paperwork for this NDIS stuff. And I said, I want to work. Like, I love feeling productive and having a purpose outside. Like, I love my family and I love being a mum and I love doing all that. But I also love having a purpose outside of that and feeling fulfilled in other areas of my life.
Yeah.
I want to contribute to society. I want to be able to, work and pay tax and do all those things.
Yeah.
However, without the right supports in place, do I just go on to like a carer's pension and just focus on Imogen because we don't have the supports?
That's it, because it's actually quite confronting. This week we've been doing like a lot on the page about like, new beginnings and really kind of ramping it up your own health and your own goals a little bit. And it's so crazy the amount of mums who, and it's not anyone's fault, it's just like how it is. Like, we've actually forgotten to have our own goals, like not even big goals, just like to eat and to drink and to drink water and to shower and like those basic things that are non-negotiables every day. And put on the back burner and own purpose and like over and above that of your kids. Like, what do you want? So
totally. Susan says her son's been in 2 high schools for grade 7 this year, and they had to take him out of school full time as he couldn't cope and he doesn't fit into the special school criteria, so now she homeschools.
Wow. I've heard that kind of scenario a few times.
Well, and this comes back to the masking issue. Like, we'll come full circle, actually. Sorry, we got off track now. Come back to it. But the thing is, they mask because this world isn't designed to accommodate for their sensitivities.
Yes.
And what if the world was a little bit more considerate of that? Like, I've said this before on calls, like, do we need to have the really bright lights in shopping centres and the really loud music and like all of the like really confronting things in our face all the time? Or could we just try and chill everything? We might actually notice that the rest of society really likes that.
Yeah, exactly. I when they did Sensory Santa like last year, it was advertised online, I was reading the comments on one of the main publications. There are some idiot people out there, sorry, but there are, like, that are just like, oh, the whole world shouldn't have to accommodate for, these people. And I'm just like, people like you are the problem. Like, I can't believe that people like that actually exist.
But this is all linked to
it's fascinating what you're learning at the moment.
Okay, so having children with special needs segregated in schools, whilst like Emmy's in a special school and I think it's the best place for her, having them segregated means that the general population aren't exposed to difference on a daily basis. So then when these things come up, people are like, why do we have to accommodate this small percentage of the population? Well, they're not actually a small percentage. Everyone's quite different, and these people just have different needs than what you do. So we've created a world that keeps them out rather than creating a world that is inclusive for everyone. Our education system, our communities, they all are designed in a way to keep some people out. And that's why we have inclusion, because people are excluded. But what if there was no such thing as included because everyone was just part of the whole and everyone valued it? That's utopia. Utopia where everybody is valued and differences are embraced, and it's just part of being in the world is that that there are different people who require different things. That would be bliss. Oh, Dave must be watching you from, is he still in the room or is he downstairs? In the room, right?
I commented.
I saw. He could actually comment in real life when I could read it out.
Read my comment.
Yeah, you read it, Steph.
Okay. It is sad that people react in certain ways. I didn't tell Steph this story, but earlier this week I was with a guy who is about to become a first-time dad. During our chat, it came up that Charlie's autistic. He said, "Sorry to hear that," and I asked him why. She's awesome and wouldn't change her for the world. Yeah, and I get that a lot. Because people are like, I'm so sorry. We've talked about this before. And I'm like, she's awesome. Like, you would be lucky to be in her life, And I know that doesn't come from a place of them trying to, I don't think people know what to say a lot of the time, So it's the first thing. But yeah, it's definitely because if you don't have someone who's different in any way, shape or form, not just autism, like you don't often know what to say or how to react. And that's the first response.
Yeah, Tracy's had a similar experience, and they said Aubrey is the light of our life. I love that. Your Aubrey's so beautiful, Tracy. Susan says her son was bullied so badly that he tried to take his life twice because of school and all the stuff that goes on there with kids being mean and so forth. So she's now opted to homeschool him so she can be with him and help him with his mental health. It's so sad, but it's reality. And it's unfortunately, Susan, reality for many, many, many families. And this is where I feel like big change needs to happen.
Like it can't continue on like this. Stories like this about what happened with William this week they can't continue to happen. Like
I actually felt sick when you sent me the screenshot of that when that was confirmed. Like I was like, this is such a failure of the larger system, like of our communities, that this is happening. It's not okay. And I said to the lady I was doing my assessment with, I feel like this probably isn't going to change if the only people talking about it are the ones at unis who write these papers that I've got sitting on my desk that go for 20 pages, and I've got to read the same sentence 3 times because they use such complex language that I don't understand it. And I feel like I'm a pretty educated person. And then I read this and I'm just like, what does that mean? Like I feel like there needs to be more real world conversations and experiences and advocacy from everyday people. The more we talk about it, the more we get it out there, like the more change we're going to have. And I'm having a chat with Susan Templeman this afternoon, one of the MPs out this way, to chat about NDIS and some of the things we see wrong with it, because this is the second year in a row we've had to really fight hard. And I just feel lucky that I have supports around me. Like, I have great parents. Richie's really supportive. I'm in pretty good health. Like, I look after myself. I have the energy to do it. But there's so many mums doing it by themselves. My dad even just said to me this morning, there's so many mums without husbands. My dad's looking from the outside, watching Thrive Tribe and seeing what we do here. And he's just like, but there's so many people who don't have anybody. These mums are doing it all by themselves. And how are they supposed to fight? I'm like, exactly. And my mum's in the background going, I wouldn't know what to do.
She's so beautiful.
So, I just think we have to start a movement. Let's just do it, because I looked at it and I was like, it's too big to do for me, but maybe if we all do it together.
It's us, and it's not just like we're sitting here with our Thrive Club shirts on and we're talking about it, and we'll put it into action where we can in our lives. But it's you guys who are watching right now.
Make noise. Talk to your MPs.
Let's do this.
Maybe we should have a national Talk to Your MP Day.
Yeah, let's start making a noise, because nothing changes unless we speak up. So,
Rachel, I will say hello to Susan for you. I'm chatting to her this afternoon with Linda, actually. Linda's got her fired up pants on too, so I hope Susan's had a good lunch before we get on to talk to us. She'll need her energy. Carol said, Sandy, my issue now is in regards to the dodgy corruption with NDIS providers. Apparently in 7 months, Kids in Motion in my child therapy centre have utilised the entire, 13,500, which doesn't make sense. Wow, that is a lot. Have they broken that down for you? Is that including travel and stuff? Because travel costs the same amount as therapy.
I know.
I'd be checking that they're using the specified NDIS rate, like in the price guide. That's where I would start with that, Carol.
On every invoice with us for any travel that Charlie's therapists do, they like break it down per like minute. There's like, and then it's broken down, added up, estimated, but it's every week we get an update on it. So there should be transparency with that.
Carol, she just said, who do I approach apart from NDIS coordinator? So you mean like your NDIS coordinator? There's actually a complaints section of the NDIS. So I would be approaching them, and I'd be sending through invoices just to make sure that they're charging the right amount. That does seem like a lot in 7 months.
It's a lot.
A lot of money, yeah.
A breakdown, clear it up if there's nothing, there to hide, no problems. But, sorry, my computer's back.
That's all right. I have to jump off because I've got another meeting about the NDIS.
Good luck. Woo!
In my office all day today, just like.
You've got things.
Yeah.
We're all behind you.
Make a cup of tea first.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Steph, do you want to do cuppa and debrief tomorrow morning?
Yes, I do. Sounds
what
good.
What time do you want to do?
Shall we do 10? Does that work, or what works?
Sorry, you just cut out.
Oh, 10?
10. Can we? Emmy's getting picked up at 10, so maybe just after 10.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. So if you're not in our Thrive Tribe & Co Connect page, that's where we do our weekly debrief. It's a really great way to connect with other mums and to learn some skills to, look at personal growth and development and looking after yourself all at the same time. So join our Thrive Tribe & Co Connect if you haven't already, and we'll see you in there tomorrow just after 10.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right, guys. See ya. Bye.